dead.
Media proudly presents...
Think of me fondly when we've said goodbye. Happy New Year, cinephiles, and
Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Yippee! Hooray! Happy New Year!
welcome back to Couch Kernels. Think of me fondly when we said goodbye. So I thought before we get started on today's movie, we could take a minute to talk about Andrew Lloyd Webber. Andrew Lloyd Webber was born in England in 1948 and has been active in theatre since 1965. His notable works include Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, Cats, The Phantom of the Opera, and the stage musical version of School of Rock. Many of his shows have been massive hits, lasting on Broadway for more than a decade. Several of these works have a basis elsewhere, with Joseph and Jesus being biblical stories, Cats being based on the works of T.S. Eliot, and Phantom being based on a French novel from 1910, which itself has also been adapted several other times, including approximately 24 films. In my own collections, I have several items based around the story of the Phantom, including a CD recording of a performance by the original cast of Webber's version, a DVD set of classic horror movies which includes the 1943 version of the movie, a bootleg DVD copy of a 1999 stage performance from the Pantages Theatre in Toronto starring Paul Stanley of Kiss as the Phantom, a DVD copy of Phantom of the Paradise, and a DVD copy of the 2004 movie based on Webber's version. I also used to have a VHS copy of a performance of the Cats stage show, and I saw the movie in theaters, which was unfortunate. The point is, I like musicals, I guess? Anyway, let's move on to today's movie. Today we're talking about The Phantom of the Opera, the 2004 version I mentioned earlier.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
So, let's get into our criteria. Today we'll be talking about plot and writing, soundtrack, visuals, makeup and costumes, and acting. Remember me, once in a while, please promise me you'll try. You done?
Make me a sandwich!
So the story goes that two wealthy junk dealers
Scrap metal, actually.
purchase Paris's Opera Populaire, but soon find it has a good many problems. These problems include an out-of-control diva, a rowdy cast and crew, and, oh yeah, a ghost who demands payment and control of the opera's productions. Along with all this is a shy understudy who proves to be a brilliant young ingenue with an unseen mentor. Shortly after the new owners and their patron arrive, the diva has a fit and leaves, leaving the night show in the lurch. The owners worry that they might have to refund every ticket until one of the crew points out that Christine, the ingenue, could perform the part. Unconvinced, the owners insist on a demonstration, which must go well because while she's singing, we transition to her in full costume on a lit stage with a packed audience. A few lines into the song that we are shown, which we are told is in the third act, the patron suddenly realizes that the girl he must have been looking at for the whole play, since she is replacing the diva, is a girl he knows from his childhood. He stands, cheers, and leaves, while she's still singing. Christine's performance goes off very well, and the patron reunites with her in her room, suggesting they go out to dinner, but her mentor disagrees, locking her in the room. She then meets her mentor, the ghost, the Phantom of the Opera. He takes her down to his lair, where he says he wants to be with her forever. The next day, he returns her to the opera, and sends several notes on how he feels things should go. Over time and several songs, a full-blown love triangle develops, one with a clearly safer option and one with a clearly more dangerous one. Like Twilight, but better. The story is enjoyable to me, as well as well-written, so we're gonna give them a kernel here. The soundtrack here is a classic. You've more than likely heard at least one of the songs here at some time, and there is no shortage of songs to choose from. It is an opera after all.
Kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit.
Some of the better songs here include the title track, Think of Me, Music of the Night, Masquerade, All I Ask of You, and Point of No Return. Like I said, lots of songs. Mostly enjoyable and all ably performed. For the soundtrack here, I think we can give them a kernel. So, how does this thing look? Well, there's a moment in the first scene where they transition from black and white to color while they raise the chandelier back up into position in the theater, and that transition scene has always looked so good to me. I love it. It gives me goosebumps every time. It looks brilliant. There are things that might bother some people, like the scenes in the Phantom's Lair, for example. There are a lot of candles in those scenes, so you just know the CinemaSins guys would say something about overcandling. However, when the Phantom and Christine arrive in his lair for the first time,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my underground lair.
large lit candelabra rise up out of the water, and that is still a cool effect. Everything in this movie is gorgeous and to me looks right, but I didn't live in late 1800s France, so there's that. For our purposes, though, we can give them a kernel. Now, it's all well and good to talk about how the movie looks as a whole, but what about the outfits? The makeup? Well, obviously, the mask is iconic. But along with that, the costumes are absolutely gorgeous and seem to be period appropriate. But again, how would I know for sure? The makeup is mostly over-exaggerated since it's supposed to be the makeup for a stage show, but there's obviously one notable example otherwise. The Phantom. His face when unmasked. I always look at the makeup for his damaged face and think, he doesn't look horrible, the makeup isn't that great. But then there are moments when he legitimately looks like an entirely different person than he does when masked, so for that, I think the makeup is actually commendable. This movie won awards for its costumes and makeup, and it's actually pretty obvious why. They deserve their awards, and this kernel. Our central trio of characters and actors here are as follows. Gerard Butler as the Phantom, Emmy Rossum as Ingenue Christine Daae, and Patrick Wilson as the patron of the Vicomte Raoul de Chauny. Wait, hold up. Who did I just say? No, not him. No, not her. There. That's it. Him. He's the Phantom? A year prior to this, he was saying,
Spartans! Ready your breakfast and eat hearty. But tonight, we dine in hell!
he can sing? Well, as it turns out, yes. Gerard Butler can sing and plays the role of the Phantom very convincingly, even if any time he and Emmy Rossum have a duet, she completely outclasses him musically. Emmy Rossum is also great, acts well in the role as well as being gifted when it comes to her musical performance. And Patrick Wilson also puts in a solid performance on both these fronts, in a role most people probably forgot when he became more prominent with roles in The Conjuring and Aquaman. Anyway, the point is that the movie is ably performed both vocally and in terms of acting, so I think we can give it a kernel here. Now let's tip out our bucket and see what we have. We actually have 5 kernels here, folks. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I will say right away, this is not a perfect movie. I'm not sure I've actually ever seen the perfect movie. This is, however, a very good movie as far as I'm concerned, and lives on a yearly rotation for me, usually included in my October viewing. I personally think it may be the best thing the late director Joel Schumacher ever made, but with competition like Batman and Robin, is it really a contest?
7 million. Never leave the cave without it.
Now, let's move on to Name That Frame. This is a continuation of the round started in my incorrectly named Home Alone 4 video. So if you want another hint, look there. If you look at my screen, we have our second still. And by way of a hint, I will tell you the movie is a teen rom-com from the early 2000s with a loose Shakespearean base. Know what it is? Comment below. And if you have any other comments, questions, or suggestions, leave those down there too. I try to answer everything. That's it for me, but I will see you guys again soon with another one. Bye. Remember me once in a while, please promise me you will try.